All right, folks. Welcome back to Factomania, where we dig into the most mind-bending mysteries of the past. Today, we're venturing into a story that could rewrite history as we know it. Picture this. Ancient Mesopotamia, a land of ziggurats, cuneiform tablets, and batteries. It sounds like science fiction, but stick with me. 2,000 years ago, they had no electricity, so why did archaeologists find what looks like a battery buried in the sand? This isn't just some dusty old pot, it's a device that has scientists and historians scratching their heads. What if our ancient ancestors harnessed the power we thought was centuries away from discovery? We're talking about the Baghdad battery, an artifact so controversial, so intriguing, it makes you wonder what other secrets are still buried out there. Could these early innovators have been zapping things with electrical currents long before Volta or Franklin? It's a tantalizing thought, and we're going to explore every angle, every theory, and every shocking possibility. Let's get to it. The rock star of this ancient power puzzle? It's undoubtedly the Baghdad battery. Our story begins in 1938 near the bustling city of Baghdad, Iraq. This artifact isn't Roman or Greek, it's from the Parthian period, roughly 250 BCE to 250 CE, a fascinating era of innovation. It's a humble clay jar, but inside there's a copper cylinder and nestled within that, an iron rod. Now, if you know a bit about basic science, those components, clay, copper, iron, might sound familiar. They eerily resemble the setup of a modern electrochemical cell. The theory goes that if you filled this ancient jar with an acidic liquid, say vinegar or even lemon juice, it could actually generate an electric current. This setup would likely produce a modest current, somewhere around 0.5 to 1 volt of electricity. It's fascinating to think about, isn't it? Modern reconstructions following the ancient design have successfully generated electricity. The past, it seems, can be quite shocking. For the science buffs out there, the design closely mirrors the basic principle of galvanic cells, named after Luigi Galvani. But this was centuries before him. How cool is that? One popular theory is electroplating coating objects, perhaps copper or silver, with a thin layer of gold. The artifact was unearthed by an Austrian archaeologist named Wilhelm König. It was König himself who first looked at this odd assembly of parts and boldly proposed the idea, could this be an ancient battery? The battery was discovered in Kujut Rabu, a site near Baghdad, alongside other artifacts typical of the Parthian era. Context is everything in archaeology. Initially, many historians and archaeologists were skeptical. They looked at it and thought, it's probably just a fancy storage jar for sacred scrolls or something similar. But König's idea of an ancient battery, that lit a fire. It sparked intense debates in the scientific and archaeological communities that continue to smolder even today. Some researchers proposed a medicinal use. Imagine ancient healers using these subtle electric currents for therapies like electroacupuncture. Others lean towards a religious or ritualistic purpose. Of course, there are the skeptics. They argue it's purely a coincidence that the components happen to resemble a battery. Some scientists still believe its primary function was to protect delicate papyrus or parchment scrolls from damage. There's no written record from that era describing electrical use or devices like this. Similar objects, though perhaps less well preserved or documented, have reportedly been found across Mesopotamia. Are there more out there? There are indeed scattered reports from other digs mentioning ancient jars containing both copper and iron components. As of now, no definitively electroplated items from Parthian Mesopotamia have been found. However, let's not underestimate the Parthians. They were known for their advanced metallurgy. It's fascinating that ancient Greeks and Romans wrote about static electricity, rubbing amber to pick up feathers, that sort of thing. In 1978, and later more famously, the Mythbusters team decided to put the Baghdad battery to the test by building their own working version. And what did they use as their electrolyte? Good old lemon juice. The voltage they achieved was indeed low, consistent with the original estimates, but it was definitely there. Beyond just generating a current, replicas have also been successfully used to electroplate silver onto other metal objects. Some dedicated experimenters have even managed to get their Baghdad battery reconstructions to light up tiny LED bulbs. One of the biggest puzzles for the battery proponents, no wires or connectors were found with the original artifact. Despite successful reconstructions, there's still no definitive archaeological proof of intentional electrical use by the Parthians. Critics also point out that the object lacks the complexity one might expect from a true practical electricity storage device. Any acidic solution strong enough to generate a decent current would also corrode the iron rod relatively quickly. And that low voltage, around half a volt to 1 volt, is it really enough for practical long-term applications? The idea of ancient electricity is so captivating because, if true, it forces us to completely rethink the timeline of technological development. Consider this, the Baghdad battery was potentially created over 1,000 years before Alessandro Volta invented his famous voltaic pile in 1800. It really makes you wonder what other incredible knowledge might ancient civilizations have possessed, only for it to be lost to the sands of time. Time and time again, archaeology shows us that ancient cultures were often far more sophisticated and advanced than we give them credit for. Today, the original Baghdad battery is supposed to be housed at the National Museum of Iraq. This electrifying artifact has certainly captured public imagination, appearing in numerous documentaries. Naturally, the Baghdad battery is a favorite topic in ancient alien theories and other pseudoscience circles. You'll even find it popping up in video games, novels, and conspiracy theory books. For some, the Baghdad battery is undeniable proof that ancient civilizations possessed technologies far beyond what mainstream history accepts. Others argue it's simply overhyped, its significance inflated due to the inherent mystery surrounding it and its exotic origins. Some engineers and scientists propose a more mundane explanation. It was an accidental electrochemical reaction, not a deliberately designed power source. But then again, maybe, just maybe, we've only scratched the surface of understanding ancient science and technology. Even after decades of study and experimentation, the Baghdad battery continues to inspire passionate debate between scientists, historians, and archaeologists. It remains one of the most fascinating and controversial discoveries in the entire field of archaeology. So, whether it was truly a battery or not, one thing is certain: the Baghdad battery electrifies our imagination and fuels our curiosity about ancient knowledge and ingenuity. Well, there you have it. The shocking story of the Baghdad battery, an artifact that sits at the crossroads of ancient ingenuity and modern skepticism. From a dusty discovery in the Iraqi desert to a global debate about lost technologies, this little clay pot has certainly generated a lot of buzz. Could our Parthian predecessors have really been tinkering with electrical power 2 millennia ago, perhaps for gilding their treasures or even for mysterious rituals? Or is it all just a fascinating coincidence, a collection of materials that just to resemble a battery? The evidence, as we've seen, is tantalizing but frustratingly incomplete. We have successful reconstructions showing it work, but no definitive proof from the Parthians themselves that it worked as a battery, or what they used it for. Yet the design is so suggestive, so close to what Galvani and Volta would later discover, that it's hard to dismiss it entirely. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and stay curious.